Hey everybody. I wanted to do a video on how to draw a tree, a quick video on how to draw a tree. This particular tree is done in line. It's all the bark texture and this bark look on my tree is all fine point Sharpie. And it's all just little lines and medium lines and shorter lines and lines that are closer together to create some shadow and around the knots of the tree. You would be surprised at how easy it is to do this and to draw an actual tree itself, which is what this video is about. Two things I think I've seen my students as a middle school art teacher in my long career as an art teacher struggle with, and that is drawing a tree and drawing mountains. So I've seen some really weird looking trees in my time, some odd trees, and I think that's because a lot of times students just haven't actually been taught how to draw a tree. It's not hard. So let's do it. What I did here, this is actually a card that I made for my wife for our anniversary. And it's pretty small, as you can see. It's like 4 by 6. So I traced the size of the card because, why? Because it's easier to work small when you're doing this, smaller, than it is on a big giant piece of drawing paper. So if you're gonna, when you try this, work small. You can even draw a smaller shape than this. It's just take a ruler or a straight edge, draw yourself out a square or a rectangle. That's about 4 by 6 or even smaller is great. So this tree here is very stylized. Stylized is a great term I love to use in art because in art, the art term stylized usually means simplified. It's fairly simplified tree. It's not realistic. It's not meant to be a real looking tree per se. It has realism to it. It looks realish, but it's got character. Stylized usually means it has character, has a look to it, in other words, and it's simplified. So let's do a stylized tree that looks pretty real, but is not too hard to do. So I'm going to start out on the bottom here with a curvy line. This is for the bottom part of my tree that flares out. As you can see, it gets much wider at the bottom. I like that look. And it starts going up vertically, and then it curves this way towards the left side of the paper and touches the border at some point. I'm going to do the same thing over here. It doesn't have to be the exact same. We don't want it to be exact, actually. It's best if it's not. That actually adds to the realism. And at some point I'm gonna curve this way towards the right side of my paper, but I'm not gonna make these two curves equal with each other. I'm gonna do this side lower, because that's what trees do and that's what they look like. Notice I was purposely kind of drawing a crooked line because trees are not perfect curves, perfect straight lines. We know that. So I was kind of making it wonky on purpose. So I got a vertical trunk, I got a flared out bottom, and I have the beginning of some branches at the top. Here's what I always tell everybody when I teach drawing a tree. I always tell everyone to think of the letter Y. Why? Because it makes it easy to draw a tree. Get it? So branches, Y shapes. I'm going to start here with coming up the side of this curve. There's my first fat branch of my tree. And at some point I'm going to go off the paper here. And then I'm going to turn this area here into a Y shape by going like this and going like that. 2 branches done. Cool thing to do, in fact, if you want to make your tree even more realistic and add branches and branches and branches, is erase a little part of your branch and make another Y. So I'm going to go like this, I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to put the inside of my Y there. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 branches, right? Pretty cool, easy. So I'm going to keep going. And often this takes some adjustment, erasing, fixing it, checking it out, seeing where you want more branches, seeing where maybe you don't like an area you don't like, and you erase and you make some different branch shapes in that area. So I got a big Y here, and I got a perfect spot there for a smaller Y. And maybe here I'll do the same thing I did over on this side. I'll erase again and I'll go off the top, let it flare out, and make another tiny little branch, a Y branch there. This looks a little fat to me. There's nothing wrong with it. Personally, It's all personal. It's your choice. It's art. It's not a math test, guys. So this is not right or wrong. But I'm going to thin that out a little bit just because I like to, just because I think I would want to do that because it is my tree. I'm going to put another Y there. So these branches are going right off the border of my section here. That makes it easier, and it looks good too. It looks really good to do that. What's possible, if you were drawing a smaller tree in a landscape or something like that, you could keep going with these Y shapes, and they keep getting smaller and smaller until they just end. Well, when I was talking about weird looking trees I've seen a lot of people draw trees that the branches just stop like this at some point. And there's a bunch of branches on a tree that look like they got sawed off. So that's pretty common, actually. I see that a lot. So if I keep going with these Y shapes, and I make my Y shape smaller and smaller as I go, eventually I can just have them come to a point and they stop and they end. You guys can see that on the video. Oh, my stick Y is in the way there. So you get the point. Get it? The point? Oh, God. Anyway, if I was going to make a whole tree, that's what I would do. But I'm just making it easier, actually, by cutting my branches off by the edge of the paper. So you kind of get the point. Get it, point? Oh, man. I keep going. I'm making Y shapes. Let's see here. I'm going to come up here like this. Go there. This takes a little just like everything in art. It's not necessarily talent, guys. Not always. A lot of times it's just practice. So practice drawing your tree. Practice it a few times. Oh, it doesn't look like he did it in the video. That just means you need to try it again. That's all. It's pretty cool, actually, because once you get the hang of drawing Y branches for your trees, you wind up drawing these really good, you can draw some really cool looking trees. So that's basic tree drawing 101, guys. I'm going to change this area here maybe a little bit. And it looks pretty good. And, you can, after you see what your tree looks like, after you fill up the top part, you can always add more. Or you can change what you already have, of course. I think I'm going to throw in another branch over here. So this branch is kind of pointing down. Trees do that. Here's the Y. I'm going to go off like this. I'm going to add another branch here. Right? Not bad. Not too bad, right? Notice it's not symmetrical. Trees, there's all different kinds of trees, types of trees. Some of them can be pretty symmetrical looking, but rarely do you see one thing I see a lot of is these perfectly symmetrical trees that are vertical trunks, and then there's a puffy green thing on top. Trees generally don't look like that, right? So there it is, trees, how to draw a tree. Why? Because I thought you might like to know. Next video I make, I'm going to talk about doing the line work inside here with a fine point pen. It's really fun to do that, and it's cool, and it looks good on a tree. All right, see you next time. Bye.